My name is Miles Carter, and 6 months ago, if someone had told me I would wake up one morning with a wife, I would have laughed. Not a girlfriend, not a fiancée, a wife. A legal, official, impossible to explain wife. And the strangest part? I didn't even know her last name when I signed the marriage certificate. I was 26 years old, working as a software engineer at Bennett Technologies. I wasn't the kind of person who chased power or money. I liked solving problems, building things, and going home after work without having to pretend I was someone important. That was probably why I was always invisible at the company. Everyone knew our CEO, Claire Bennett, the woman who built a technology empire before turning 30. The woman who could walk into a meeting room and make 10 executives stop arguing with one look. The woman employees secretly called the Ice Queen. I had seen her dozens of times from a distance. Perfect suit, perfect expression, perfect control. She never smiled. She never made mistakes. And she definitely never noticed someone like me. At least, that was what I believed. Until one rainy night changed everything. I met her at a small coffee shop after work. Not as my CEO. Not as the woman everyone feared. Just as a woman sitting alone, staring at a cup of coffee that had gone cold. I only noticed her because she looked strangely familiar. But I couldn't place her. She looked exhausted. Not tired like someone who had a long day. Tired like someone who had been carrying the entire world alone. I was about to leave when she suddenly spoke. Do you ever feel like everyone around you only sees what you can provide? I stopped. That was not the kind of question strangers usually asked. I looked at her. Sorry. She looked surprised, almost like she regretted saying it out loud. Nothing. I smiled slightly. That was definitely something. For the first time, her expression changed. A tiny smile appeared. Only for a second. But I saw it. You're honest. I'm usually told that's my problem. Most people would be afraid to say that. Most people don't know me. She studied me carefully. Then she asked, what would you do if tomorrow everything changed? I laughed. Honestly, probably panic. That made her smile again. A real one this time. And for some reason, that small smile felt more surprising than anything else. We talked for hours. About random things. Not business. Not money. Not careers. Just life. She told me she hated when people treated her differently because of her position. I told her I hated when people assumed I wasn't ambitious just because I didn't brag. At some point, she looked at me and said, "You're different." I raised an eyebrow. Is that good or bad? I haven't decided. Great. Very reassuring. She laughed. Actually laughed. And I realized something. The cold, untouchable woman sitting across from me wasn't cold. She was lonely. Very lonely. When the coffee shop closed, neither of us wanted to leave. We stood outside under the rain, both knowing the night was ending. Then she said something I never expected. Marry me. I thought I heard wrong. I stared at her. What? She didn't look away. I said marry me. I laughed because there was no other reaction my brain could process. You're serious? Yes. Okay. I have several questions. Ask. First, do you normally propose to strangers? No. Second, do you know my name? Miles Carter. My smile disappeared slightly. How do you know that? She hesitated. Just for a moment. Then she said, I've seen your work. I didn't understand. But before I could ask more, she continued. I need a husband. You need a fresh start. That sounds suspiciously like a business deal. Maybe it is. I crossed my arms. And what do I get? She looked at me. A strange softness appeared in her eyes. Someone who will never lie to you. That answer caught me off guard. Because she didn't sound like someone making a deal. She sounded like someone asking for help. I should have said no. A normal person would have said no. But something about her made me hesitate. Maybe it was the loneliness in her eyes. Maybe it was the fact that she was the first person in years who looked at me like I mattered. So I asked, how long? 1 year. And after 1 year, we decide what happens next. I stared at the marriage certificate she had somehow already prepared. This is crazy. Yes. You admit it? Yes. That's not helping. I know. I looked at her. For the first time, I saw something beneath her confidence. Nervousness. The most powerful woman I had ever met was nervous about my answer. That changed something. I picked up the pen. Fine. Her eyes widened slightly. You're agreeing? I don't know if this is the smartest decision I've ever made. And I'm pretty sure it's the strangest. A small smile appeared. But I'll do it. She took the pen from me. Our fingers touched. And for a moment, everything felt strangely right. We signed. Two strangers. One decision. One impossible night. I thought I was helping a woman I barely knew. I thought tomorrow I would wake up beside my temporary wife, figure out our arrangement, and continue my ordinary life. I had no idea that tomorrow morning, my entire world would collapse. Because when I walked into Bennett Technologies the next day, the woman standing at the front of the executive meeting room wasn't just my wife. She was my boss, Claire Bennett, the CEO everyone feared. And she looked directly at me in front of the entire company. Then she said the words that nearly stopped my heart. Miles. Everyone turned. My coworkers froze. Because nobody ever called the CEO by her first name. But she didn't care. She walked toward me. Calm. Confident. Like she hadn't just changed my entire life overnight. Then she stopped in front of me and quietly said, "Good morning, husband." The entire room went silent. And I realized, my biggest problem was no longer working for the Ice Queen. My biggest problem was that I had accidentally married her. The moment Claire Bennett said those two words, the entire conference room stopped breathing. Good morning, husband. I honestly thought my brain had stopped working. Because there were two completely different versions of Claire Bennett standing in front of me. The first one was the woman everyone in Bennett Technologies knew. The CEO. The Ice Queen. The woman who could reject a $1 million proposal with 3 sentences and make executives apologize for wasting her time. The second one was the woman who had sat across from me in a coffee shop the night before. The woman who laughed at my terrible jokes. The woman who asked me to marry her because she wanted someone who saw her as a person. And somehow, they were the same person. I looked around the room. My coworkers were staring at me like I had suddenly grown a second head. My teammate Jake whispered, "Did she just call you husband?" I didn't answer, because I was still trying to understand it myself. Claire looked completely calm. Too calm. That annoyed me. I walked toward her and lowered my voice. "Are you serious right now?" Her expression didn't change. "About what?" I stared at her. "About calling me that in front of everyone." She tilted her head slightly. "Why? Why?" "Yes. Because you're my CEO. And because everyone here thinks you're terrifying." A small smile appeared. "Do you think I'm terrifying?" I opened my mouth, then closed it, because the answer was complicated. "No." "Good." She turned back to the executives. "Miles will be joining the product strategy meeting today." I blinked. "Wait, what?" One of the directors looked confused. "Ms. Bennett, Miles is an engineer from the development department." Claire looked at him. "Yes." The man hesitated. "And why exactly is he attending this meeting?" Claire answered immediately. "Because I want him here." The room became quiet. Nobody questioned Claire Bennett. Nobody. But I could see the confusion on their faces. They were wondering the same thing I was. Why me? After the meeting started, I sat at the end of the table, trying not to attract attention. Unfortunately, Claire made that impossible. Every few minutes, she asked for my opinion. "Miles, what do you think?" At first, I thought she was testing me. Then I realized something. She actually cared about my thoughts. Not because I was her husband. Because she respected my ability. That surprised me. After the meeting ended, I waited until everyone left. The moment the door closed, I turned around. "We need to talk." Claire calmly packed her documents. About everything." She looked at me. "Be specific." I pointed at the door. "You just told the entire executive team I'm your husband." "Yes." "Why?" "Because it's true." I sighed. "That's not the point." "Then what is?" I stepped closer. "Claire, yesterday I thought you were just someone who needed help. And today I found out you own the company I work for." She was quiet. I continued. "Do you understand how crazy this looks?" "Yes." "And you're okay with that?" "No." That answer surprised me. She looked down for a moment. "I'm not okay with people thinking you're only here because of me." Her voice became softer. "I don't want anyone to think you're not good enough." I froze. Because that was not what I expected. The CEO who could intimidate an entire board was worried about people judging me. "Claire." She looked at me. "I know what people will say." "What?" "That you married me for money." I didn't answer. Because honestly, I knew people would think that. She continued. "But I know the truth." "What truth?" "That last night, when you had no idea who I was, you still treated me like a normal person." Her eyes softened. "You didn't ask what I owned. You didn't ask how much money I had. You didn't even try to impress me." I smiled slightly. I did tell you your coffee was terrible. Yes. I'm still surprised you married me after that. For the first time, she laughed in the office. A quiet laugh. But real. I like that. You liked me insulting your coffee? I liked that you weren't afraid. I looked at her. And suddenly, I remembered something. The night before, after signing the marriage papers, Claire had asked me a strange question. Will you promise me something? I had said yes. She had looked at me seriously. Don't treat me like everyone else. At the time, I didn't understand. Now I did. Everyone saw Claire Bennett as a CEO. Nobody saw Claire Bennett as a woman. Except maybe me. My phone suddenly buzzed. It was a message from Jake. Dude, what is happening? Are you secretly a billionaire? I almost laughed. I showed Claire. She looked at the message. Then she said something completely unexpected. Tell him no. Why? Because you're not. I raised an eyebrow. Wow. Very romantic. She looked at me. You're not valuable because of money. The way she said it made me stop joking. You're valuable because you're you. For a second, I forgot she was my boss. I forgot she was a CEO. She was just Claire, my wife. Then the office door suddenly opened. Her assistant, Emily, stepped inside. Ms. Bennett, sorry to interrupt. Claire immediately returned to her CEO expression. What happened? Emily looked between us. Then at the marriage certificate on the desk. Her eyes widened. Oh, I knew that. Oh, that was the sound of someone discovering something unbelievable. Claire looked at her. Emily. Yes. This is my husband. Emily stared. Then looked at me. Then back at Claire. You're married? Yes. To Miles? Yes. From engineering? Yes. Emily looked like she needed a minute. I couldn't blame her. Then she smiled. And said, I honestly never thought I'd see the day. Claire frowned slightly. See what day? The day someone makes you smile during working hours. Claire became quiet. I looked away because somehow that made me embarrassed. Emily left after delivering the documents. And suddenly the office was quiet again. I looked at Claire. You smile because of me? She looked away. No. I smiled. You're a terrible liar. I'm the CEO of a company. And I'm good at everything. I laughed. Except lying to your husband? She looked at me. And for the first time, I saw a tiny bit of embarrassment on the face of the woman everyone called the Ice Queen. Yes. I froze. You admitted it? Yes. Wow. She picked up her coffee. You're enjoying this too much. A little. She walked past me, then stopped. Without turning around, she said, Miles. Yeah. Tonight, come home early. I blinked. Home. She looked back. Yes. Our apartment. Our home. The words were simple, but they hit harder than I expected. Because yesterday, I thought I had married a stranger. Today, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't afraid that Claire Bennett was my CEO. I was afraid that I was starting to like being her husband. And that was much more dangerous. I spent the next 3 days trying to convince myself that my life had not completely changed. It didn't work. Every morning, I woke up remembering the same impossible fact. Claire Bennett was my wife. Not my girlfriend. Not someone I was dating. My wife. The same woman whose name appeared on every business magazine cover. The same woman who made senior executives nervous with a single look. The same woman who, every morning before work, stood in our kitchen wearing a simple sweater and asked me, Did you sleep well? It was confusing. Completely confusing. Because the world knew Claire Bennett as a woman who never showed weakness. But at home, she was different. She was quieter, softer, almost shy. The first morning after everyone at work discovered our relationship, I walked into the kitchen and saw her preparing breakfast. I stopped at the doorway. Claire Bennett, the CEO of a billion-dollar company, making eggs. I stared. She noticed. What? I pointed at the pan. You're cooking. Yes. You know how strange this looks? She looked at the breakfast. Then at me. Why? Because yesterday I watched you make 10 executives nervous enough to apologize for breathing too loudly. She raised an eyebrow. And now you're making me breakfast. She turned back to the stove. Is that a problem? I smiled. No. Good. A few seconds passed. Then she quietly added, I wanted to. That caught me off guard. Claire wasn't the type of person who did things because she had to. If she wanted something, she made it happen. So hearing her say she wanted to make breakfast for me felt strangely important. I sat down. You know, Most people would be terrified if their CEO suddenly became their wife. She placed a plate in front of me. Are you terrified? I thought about it, then shook my head. No. Why? Because you don't scare me. She stopped, just for a second. Then she looked at me. Everyone else is scared of me. I know. Why aren't you? I smiled. Because I know the woman behind the title. Her expression changed. Not much. Most people probably wouldn't notice. But I did. Claire Bennett had a very small way of showing emotion. A slight change in her eyes. A softer voice. A pause before she answered. You really mean that? Yes. She looked down and quietly said, Thank you. That was the first time I heard those words from her. Not as a CEO, not as someone giving a formal response. As my wife. At work, things became much harder. Not because Claire treated me differently. Actually, she did the opposite. She treated me exactly the same. Maybe even more strictly. During a project meeting, I presented a new software improvement plan. When I finished, Claire looked at the documents. Then said, No. The entire room became silent. I blinked. No. No. I crossed my arms. Can I ask why? Everyone looked nervous. Nobody questioned Claire. But I did. She looked at me. The idea is good. Then why reject it? Because it's incomplete. She pointed at the screen. You solved the customer problem, but you ignored the employee workflow. I looked again, and she was right. I had missed something. I nodded. You're right. The executives looked surprised. Not because she criticized me, because I accepted it. After the meeting, one of my coworkers, Daniel, followed me. Man. What? Are you okay? I laughed. Why? Because I thought being married to Claire Bennett meant you'd get special treatment. And you just got rejected harder than anyone in that room. I smiled. That's because she respects me. Daniel looked confused. What? She doesn't want me to succeed because I'm her husband. I looked toward Claire's office. She wants me to succeed because I earned it. Daniel was quiet. Then he smiled. Okay. What? I get it now. Get what? Why she chose you. I didn't answer. Because honestly, I was still trying to understand that myself. That afternoon, something unexpected happened. I was leaving the office when I heard voices near the elevator. 2 employees were talking. I still think it's weird. What? The CEO marrying someone from engineering. Maybe he knew who she was. Exactly. Maybe he planned it. I stopped. I wasn't angry. Not at first. Because I understood why they thought that. From their perspective, it made sense. But then one sentence changed everything. He probably won the lottery. That hurt. Not because I cared what they thought. Because I knew Claire would hate hearing it. Before I could respond, another voice came from behind them. Are you finished? Everyone froze. Claire. The 2 employees immediately turned pale. Ms. Bennett. She walked toward them. Her expression was cold. The same expression everyone feared. But this time, I saw something different. She wasn't angry because they insulted her. She was angry because they insulted me. You believe my husband's value comes from marrying me? Nobody answered. Claire continued. Then you don't understand him. The employees lowered their heads. He was promoted before I knew he would become my husband. He created solutions this company uses today. He earned his position. Her voice became sharper. I chose him because of who he is. Silence. Then she looked at me. And something unbelievable happened. The Ice Queen reached for my hand. Right there. In front of everyone. My entire body froze. Because Claire Bennett never touched anyone. Not publicly. Not privately. Not ever. But she held my hand. And said, Come on, Miles. I looked at her. You're holding my hand. Yes. Everyone is watching. I know. Doesn't that bother you? She looked at me. No. Why? Her answer was quiet. Because I want them to know. Know what? That you're not someone standing behind me. Her fingers tightened slightly around mine. You're the person I chose to stand beside. For a moment, I forgot we were in an office. Forgot people were watching. Forgot she was Claire Bennett. Because right then, she wasn't the CEO. She was just my wife. And somehow, the woman who could control an entire company was letting me hold the one thing she never gave anyone. Her heart. That night, when we got home, Claire suddenly stopped at the door. I looked at her. What happened? She hesitated. I need to ask you something. What? She looked nervous. Actually nervous. And somehow that was more shocking than anything. Are you unhappy? I froze. What? With this marriage? I stared at her. Claire, you never expected this. No. You never expected me. No. You never expected your life to change. No. She looked away. But you haven't complained. I stepped closer. Because I'm not unhappy. She looked at me. Really? I smiled. Really? Why? I thought for a moment. Then answered honestly. Because before I met you, everyone saw what I could do. I looked at her. But you're the first person who saw who I was. For the first time since I met Claire Bennett. I saw tears forming in her eyes. Just for a moment. Then she quickly looked away. I'm going to shower. I smiled. Running away? Yes. Because you're emotional? No. Claire. She stopped. What? You're terrible at lying. A tiny smile appeared. And she whispered. Only with you. That night, I realized something. The woman everyone called the Ice Queen was not cold. She was just waiting for someone brave enough to get close. And somehow, I had become that person. I used to think the hardest part of marrying Claire Bennett would be dealing with her status. I was wrong. The hardest part was realizing that the woman everyone feared was slowly becoming someone I couldn't imagine losing. And that scared me. Because Claire was supposed to be temporary. That was the agreement. 1 year. A marriage that started with two strangers helping each other. No expectations. No promises. No complicated feelings. At least, that was what I told myself. But every day with her made that agreement harder to remember. Because Claire wasn't acting like someone in a fake marriage. She remembered small things about me. Things nobody else noticed. She knew I hated meetings before lunch because I couldn't think when I was hungry. She knew I always forgot my phone charger. She knew I pretended not to be stressed whenever I was worried. And somehow, the woman who controlled a billion-dollar company noticed every little thing about me. One evening, I came home later than usual. I had stayed at the office to finish a project. When I opened the door, I found Claire sitting on the couch, still wearing her work clothes, still holding her tablet. But she wasn't working. She was waiting. I looked at the clock. Claire. She looked up. You're late. I smiled. Is that a CEO complaint? No. Then what is it? She paused, then quietly said, a wife complaint. That surprised me. I put my bag down. You were worried? No. I smiled. You answered too quickly. She looked away. I knew you would say that. Because it's true. She didn't argue. And that was how I knew I was right. I walked closer. You could have called me. I didn't want to interrupt you. You're my wife. You're allowed to interrupt me. The moment I said that, she became quiet. Because I realized something. Claire wasn't used to being allowed to need someone. Everyone needed her. Employees. Investors. Her family. The entire company. But nobody ever told her she could need someone too. I sat beside her. You know you don't have to be strong all the time, right? She looked at me. I'm Claire Bennett. I know. I built this company. I know. I can handle things myself. I know. She frowned slightly. Then why are you saying this? Because I'm not asking you to stop being strong. I looked at her. I'm saying you don't have to be strong alone. For several seconds, she didn't say anything. Then something happened I never expected. Claire leaned against my shoulder. Just slightly. Almost like she wasn't sure if she was allowed to. I froze. Not because I didn't like it. Because Claire Bennett never did anything without confidence. But right now, she looked uncertain. Miles. Yeah. Is this strange? I looked at her. The CEO of Bennett Technologies asking if leaning on her husband is strange. Yes. I smiled. No. Why? Because you're not the CEO right now. Then who am I? I answered immediately. My wife. Her fingers tightened around my sleeve. And she stayed there. The next morning, something happened at the office. Something that changed the way I saw Claire. We had a major client meeting. One of the biggest deals of the year. I was responsible for presenting the technical side. Everything was going smoothly until the client suddenly questioned me. I'm sorry, but why is someone with your position leading this discussion? The room went quiet. I understood what he meant. He wasn't asking about my experience. He was asking why Claire Bennett's husband was sitting there. Before I could answer, Claire spoke. Because he is qualified. The client looked at her. I'm sure he is, but no. Her voice was calm. But everyone knew that tone. The conversation was over. He is not here because he is my husband. She looked directly at the client. He is here because he is the person I trust most with this project. I looked at her. That sentence hit differently. Because Claire didn't say, my husband deserves a chance. She said, I trust him. That meant more. After the meeting, I stopped her outside her office. Claire. She turned. Yes. You didn't have to do that. Do what? Defend me. She looked confused. I wasn't defending you. You weren't. No. She stepped closer. I was correcting them. I smiled. That sounds exactly like something you would say. It's true. Claire. She looked at me. What? Thank you. Her expression softened. You don't have to thank me for believing in you. I stared at her. Because that was the thing. Claire Bennett had hundreds of people around her. But somehow, she was the one person who made me feel like I wasn't invisible. That night, everything changed. I received an email, a job offer, a better position, a higher salary, a company that had no connection to Claire. At first, I was excited, because maybe this was my chance. My chance to prove that I wasn't just Claire Bennett's husband. I didn't tell her immediately. I waited. But Claire noticed. Of course she did. She always noticed. During dinner, she put down her fork. You're thinking about something. I looked up. How do you know? You've been quiet for 20 minutes. I laughed. That's very specific. Yes. I sighed. I got another job offer. She became still. A job offer? Yes. Are you going to take it? The question sounded simple. But I heard something underneath. Fear. I looked at her. I don't know. She nodded. I understand. But she didn't. Not really. Because Claire Bennett could negotiate billion-dollar contracts without hesitation. But this one question scared her. Would I leave? After dinner, I found her standing by the window. I walked over. Claire. She didn't turn around. If you leave, I won't stop you. That hurt more than I expected. Claire. You deserve to have your own career. That's not what I'm asking. She finally looked at me. What are you asking? I hesitated. Then said, do you want me to stay? Her expression changed. The powerful CEO disappeared. The woman in front of me was just Claire. My wife. After a long silence, she whispered, yes. One word. But it carried everything. I stepped closer. Why? She looked down, then admitted, because when you're here, my life feels less empty. I didn't know what to say. Claire Bennett, the woman who had everything, the woman everyone wanted to know, just told me she was afraid of being alone. She took a breath. Miles. Yeah. Can you stay? And for the first time since I met her, the Ice Queen wasn't giving an order. She was asking. I smiled. I wasn't planning on leaving. Her eyes widened slightly. You weren't? No. Then why didn't you tell me? Because I wanted to know if you wanted me here. She stared at me, then whispered, you really are different. I smiled. And you really are terrible at pretending you don't care. For once, she didn't deny it. She just stepped closer and quietly said, good, good, yes. Why? Because I don't want you to misunderstand anymore. She looked at me. I care about you, Miles. And in that moment, I realized something. The marriage that started as an agreement was becoming something neither of us planned. Something real, something dangerous, something I never wanted to lose. I thought telling Claire about the job offer would make things easier. I was wrong. Because after that night, something between us changed. Not dramatically, not suddenly. It was something smaller, something only I noticed. Claire started acting less like a CEO around me, and more like a wife. Before, she would leave for work at exactly 7:30 every morning. Now she waited for me. Before, she ate whatever her assistant scheduled. Now she asked, Miles, what do you want for dinner? Before, she spent every night working until midnight. Now she would close her laptop and say, you said I need to rest. I smiled the first time she said that. Are you actually listening to me? She looked serious. Yes. That's shocking. Why? Because you're Claire Bennett. She raised an eyebrow. And people don't tell Claire Bennett what to do. She looked at me for a second, then said, you do. I laughed. That's because I'm your husband. She looked away. But I saw it. That small smile. The one she tried to hide. The problem was, the more comfortable we became, the more I started worrying. Not about Claire. About myself. Because I was forgetting something important. This marriage was supposed to have an end date. 1 year. That was the deal. But every morning I woke up next to her, I stopped thinking about the contract. I started thinking about forever. And that was dangerous. Because Claire Bennett belonged to a world I didn't. She lived among billion-dollar deals, private meetings, and people who measured success by numbers. I was just Miles Carter, an engineer who still cooked cheap pasta when he didn't want to spend money. A guy who wore the same jacket for 3 winters. A guy who accidentally married the most powerful woman in the city. I loved seeing her happy, but a small voice in my head kept asking, what happens when she realizes she made a mistake? That thought became stronger after a company event. Claire had invited me as her husband. Not secretly, not as a plus one. Her husband. When we arrived, everyone immediately noticed. People smiled at Claire. People respected Claire. But when they looked at me, I could see the questions. Who is he? Why him? What does he have that made Claire Bennett choose him? I tried to ignore it. But then I heard one comment. A businessman standing nearby whispered, interesting. The Ice Queen finally found someone willing to marry her. The other man laughed. Or someone smart enough to marry her. I stopped. Claire noticed. She always noticed. Her hand immediately found mine. Miles. I'm fine. You're not. I looked at her. You know what's funny? What? Everyone thinks I'm lucky because I married you. She didn't respond. But sometimes I wonder if you're the lucky one. Her expression changed. Not because she was angry. Because she was hurt. Miles. I mean it. I lowered my voice. You have everything. She looked directly at me. No. I was surprised. No. No. She squeezed my hand. I have everything except the one thing I wanted. What? She looked at me. You. I forgot how to answer. Because Claire Bennett didn't say things like that. Not publicly. Not privately. Not ever. Later that night, we went home. But I couldn't sleep. The next morning, I made a decision. A decision I hated. I accepted the other job offer. Not because I wanted to leave Claire. Because I wanted to prove I could stand beside her. Not behind her. I prepared my resignation letter. When I arrived at the office, I walked toward Claire's office. Her assistant, Emily, saw the envelope in my hand. Her expression changed. Miles. I smiled. Don't worry. She looked worried. That's exactly what people say before something bad happens. I laughed softly. Fair point. I knocked. Claire looked up. Come in. I entered. She immediately noticed the envelope. What is that? I placed it on her desk. My resignation. Silence. The expression on her face changed instantly. Not anger. Shock. Why? I sat down. I got another opportunity. Where? Outside Bennett Technologies. She stared at me. You're leaving? I need to. Need to? Yes. She stood up. Miles, if this is because people are talking. It's not. Then why? I took a breath. Because I don't want to be known as Claire Bennett's husband. Her face went still, and I regretted the words immediately. That's not what I mean. But she interrupted. No. Her voice was quiet. You mean exactly what you said. Claire. She looked away. For the first time since I met her. She looked hurt. I thought. She stopped. I waited. You thought what? She didn't answer. I stepped closer. Claire. She finally looked at me. I thought you wanted to stay. My heart tightened. Because that was not the voice of a CEO. That was the voice of a woman afraid. I do. Then why leave? Because I don't want people saying I'm here because of you. She stared at me. Then suddenly walked around the desk. Miles. Yes. If you leave this company, I understand. I nodded. But then she grabbed my hand. But don't leave me. I froze. Because Claire Bennett had negotiated with governments. She had defeated competitors. She had never begged anyone for anything. But now, she was holding my hand, asking me not to go. I'm not leaving you. You're leaving. My job. She looked at me. And what if I don't know the difference anymore? That sentence broke something inside me. Because I realized Claire wasn't afraid of losing an employee. She was afraid of losing her husband. I whispered, Claire. She took a breath, then said, I can replace an employee. A pause. But I can't replace you. The room became silent. The woman everyone called the Ice Queen finally showed me the truth. She wasn't cold. She was scared. Scared that the one person who treated her normally would disappear. I slowly took the resignation letter from her desk. She looked surprised. What are you doing? I tore it in half, then placed the pieces in the trash. Her eyes widened. Miles. I smiled. I'm staying. She looked at me. Because of the company? No. Because of your career? No. I stepped closer. Because my wife asked me to. For several seconds, she didn't move. Then she did something I never expected. Claire Bennett hugged me. Right there. In her office. No hesitation. No pretending. Just Claire. My wife. And quietly, against my shoulder, she whispered, Thank you. I smiled. For what? For choosing me. And at that moment, I finally understood. The woman who had everything was afraid of losing the one thing she couldn't buy. Me. After that day, I thought things between Claire and me couldn't get any better. I was wrong. Because Claire Bennett had spent her entire life building walls around herself. And somehow, without even trying, I had become the person she allowed inside. The woman who never showed emotion started leaving notes for me before work. Not romantic letters. Nothing dramatic. Just small things. Don't skip lunch. Your meeting starts at 2. Don't be late. I put a charger in your bag because you forgot yours again. Every time I found one, I smiled. Because this was Claire's way of saying she cared. She wasn't the type of person who said sweet words every 5 minutes. She showed love through actions. And somehow, that made it mean even more. One morning, I arrived at the office and immediately noticed something strange. People were looking at me. Not normal looks. Whispers. Conversations stopping when I walked by. I found Daniel near the coffee machine. What happened? He looked uncomfortable. You haven't seen the news? What news? He handed me his phone. The headline immediately caught my attention. Bennett Technologies CEO accused of favoritism toward husband. My stomach tightened. I read the article. Someone had leaked information claiming Claire had promoted me because of our marriage. They questioned every decision she made involving me. Every project. Every opportunity. Everything. I looked up. This is ridiculous. Daniel nodded. Everyone knows it isn't true. But people will believe it. That was the problem. The truth didn't always matter. The story people wanted to believe mattered more. I went straight to Claire's office. She was already reading the article. Her expression was calm. Too calm. That worried me. Claire. She looked up. I know. Are you okay? Yes. I walked closer. You're lying. She looked at me. You always say that. Because you always do it. For a moment, she said nothing. Then she closed the tablet. I knew this would happen eventually. What? That people would question you because of me. I sat down. Claire, I should have protected you better. That surprised me. You? Yes. You didn't do anything wrong. I brought you into my world. She looked down. My world is not always kind. I shook my head. Claire, I chose this. But you shouldn't have to defend yourself because you married me. I reached across the desk. Look at me. She did. I don't regret marrying you. Her eyes softened. Really? Yes. Even now. Especially now. She stared at me. And then something unexpected happened. She smiled. Not the polite smile she used at business meetings. A real one. You're unbelievable. I hear that a lot. I believe it. Later that day, Claire called an emergency company meeting. Everyone gathered in the main conference room. I stood at the back. I didn't know what she planned to do. Then Claire walked in. The entire room became silent. She looked exactly like the CEO everyone feared. Confident. Powerful. Untouchable. But I knew the truth. I knew the woman behind that expression. She stood at the front. I'm aware of the accusations regarding my husband. Everyone listened. My decisions have been questioned because of my personal relationship with Miles Carter. A few executives looked uncomfortable. Claire continued. So today, I will make something clear. She turned and looked directly at me. My heart stopped. Miles Carter has never received special treatment. The room was silent. He earned every position he holds. He earned every opportunity he received. He earned my respect before he ever became my husband. I felt everyone looking at me, but I only saw her. Claire continued. And if anyone believes he is here because of his relationship with me. She paused, then walked toward me. Every step made the room more silent. She stopped in front of me. Then she took my hand. The entire company watched. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Because Claire Bennett didn't do public affection. Ever. She looked at everyone. This man is not my weakness. Her fingers tightened around mine. He is my choice. The room stayed silent. Then she said, and I will not allow anyone to disrespect him. I couldn't believe it. The same woman who avoided attention about her personal life was standing in front of hundreds of employees, holding my hand. For me, after the meeting, I followed her back to her office. I closed the door. Claire. Yes. What you did. She looked at me. Was too much. She frowned slightly. Too much. Yes. Why? Because you didn't have to announce that. She looked confused. I wanted to. Why? She stepped closer. Because I don't want you hiding anymore. I froze. What? You always worry about standing behind me. She looked into my eyes. But Miles, you never stood behind me. A pause. You stood beside me. That sentence stayed with me. Because that was exactly what I wanted. Not to be above her. Not below her. Beside her. That evening, something happened that I never expected. Claire came home early. Very early. I looked at the clock. It's only 6. Yes. Are you sick? She frowned. No. Then why are you home? She placed her bag down. Because you said yesterday that I worked too much. I smiled. You listened? Yes. Again. She looked offended. I listen sometimes. Sometimes. Yes. Claire, you're terrible at pretending you don't care. She walked toward me, then suddenly asked, Miles. Yeah. Do you think I'm difficult? The question surprised me. Why would you ask that? Because people say I'm cold. I looked at her. People don't know you. But you do. Yes. Then tell me. I smiled. You are difficult. Her eyes widened. I laughed. Wait, let me finish. She crossed her arms. I'm listening. You're stubborn. Yes. You're terrible at admitting when you're wrong. Yes. You work too much. Yes. You try to carry everything alone. She became quiet. But I stepped closer. You're also the most loyal person I know. She looked at me. You care more than anyone. A small smile appeared. And you love deeply. For a moment, she didn't speak. Then she whispered, You really see me. I nodded. Yes. She looked down, then quietly said, Good. Good. Yes. Why? Because I only want one person to see the real me. I smiled. Who? She looked at me. You. And that was when I realized something. I had spent weeks thinking I was the lucky one. Because I married Claire Bennett. But maybe, just maybe, Claire Bennett felt lucky too. By the time 6 months had passed, everyone at Bennett Technologies knew one thing. Claire Bennett had changed. Not as a CEO. She was still demanding, still sharp, still impossible to fool. She still walked into meetings and made people sit straighter. But there was one difference. She smiled more. And everyone knew why. Me. At first, people thought it was temporary. They thought Claire would eventually return to the woman she used to be. The woman who never trusted anyone. The woman who never let emotions affect her decisions. But they were wrong. Because Claire wasn't becoming weaker. She was becoming happier. And somehow, that made her stronger. The problem was that not everyone liked seeing Claire happy. Especially her family. I found that out when Claire received a call one night. She answered calmly. Hello, Father. Her expression changed immediately. Not much, but enough. I noticed. Because I had learned every little change in her. After a few minutes, she ended the call. I looked at her. Bad news. She put her phone down. My father wants us to have dinner tomorrow. Us? Yes. I smiled. Your family wants to meet your husband? She didn't answer. That told me everything. Claire. She sighed. My family is complicated. That sounds like a warning. It is. I laughed. Should I be worried? She looked at me seriously. No. Why? Because I'm with you. That answer should have made me confident. Instead, it made me realize something. Claire Bennett, the woman who feared nothing, was worried about how her family would treat me. The next evening, we arrived at her family's house. The moment we entered, I understood. This wasn't just a family dinner. It was an evaluation. Her father, Richard Bennett, sat at the head of the table. He was a powerful businessman. The kind of person who measured everyone by achievements. He looked at me. Not warmly. Not rudely. Just carefully. So, his voice was calm. You're Miles Carter. Yes, sir. I've heard a lot. I smiled. Hopefully good things. He didn't smile back. That depends. Claire immediately noticed. Dad. Richard looked at her. What? You invited him here. I know. Then treat him with respect. That surprised me. Not because she defended me. I expected that. Because she did it without hesitation. Richard looked at his daughter. You've changed. Claire didn't blink. Yes. Because of him? She looked at me. Then answered. Yes. The room became quiet. During dinner, Richard asked me question after question. My career. My background. My plans. I answered honestly. But I knew what he was doing. He was trying to figure out whether I belonged in Claire's world. Finally, he put down his glass. Miles. Yes. You know my daughter could marry almost anyone. I nodded. Yes. CEOs. investors, politicians. She had endless options. I looked at him. I know. Then why do you think she chose you? Before I could answer, Claire spoke. Because I love him. Everyone stopped, including me. Because Claire had never said that before. Not like this. Not so directly. Richard looked at her. Claire. No. Her voice was calm. But I'm tired of everyone asking why I chose him. She reached for my hand. I chose Miles because he makes me happy. Her father stared. She continued. He doesn't need my company. He doesn't need my money. He doesn't need my name. She looked at me. He just wants me. My heart tightened. Because Claire Bennett had everything. But what she valued most was being loved for who she was. After dinner, we left earlier than expected. The moment we got into the car, I looked at her. You said it. She looked out the window. Said what? You love me. Silence. Then she looked at me. Yes. I smiled. You just admitted it. Yes. Claire Bennett admitted she loves someone. Yes. Are you okay? She narrowed her eyes. Why wouldn't I be? Because 6 months ago, you probably would have fired anyone who asked you that. She almost smiled. Probably. I laughed. Then I became serious. Claire. Yes. Do you really mean it? She looked at me. Every word. A few days later, the biggest challenge arrived. The board meeting. Several directors wanted Claire to step back because they believed her marriage created a conflict of interest. They wanted her to choose the company or me. When I heard about it, I immediately went to her office. Claire. She looked up. I know. You can't let them do this. I won't. But if they force you. She interrupted. Miles. Yes. Do you trust me? I nodded. Of course. Then let me handle it. The next morning, Claire walked into the boardroom. I wasn't supposed to attend, but she asked me to come. Every board member looked surprised. One director spoke first. Claire, this meeting concerns your husband. She nodded. I know. Then perhaps he shouldn't be here. Claire looked at him. No. The man frowned. No. No. She sat down. My husband should hear everything. The meeting began. They questioned her decisions. They questioned my role. They questioned everything. Until finally, one director said, You have to choose, Claire. The room went silent. Your company. Or him. I looked at Claire. I expected hesitation. There was none. She stood and said, I choose both. Everyone froze. She continued, Because my husband is not a weakness. He is the person who reminds me why I built this company in the first place. She looked around the room. I spent years building an empire because I wanted freedom. A pause. But I never realized freedom without someone to share it with meant nothing. Nobody spoke. Then Claire walked toward me. She took my hand. Again. In front of everyone. I will not apologize for loving my husband. Her voice was steady. And I will not abandon the person who believed in me before anyone knew my name. I looked at her. The woman who had once been afraid to show emotion was standing against everyone for me. And in that moment, I knew. Claire Bennett wasn't just my wife. She was the person who chose me. Even when choosing me cost her everything. 1 year. That was the agreement. 12 months. A marriage that started with 2 strangers, one impossible night, and a decision neither of us expected to make. When Claire and I signed those papers, we both thought we understood the rules. We were helping each other. She needed someone who saw her as Claire, not just as the CEO of Bennett Technologies. I needed someone who believed I was more than an ordinary employee. No promises. No expectations. No real feelings. At least, that was what we told ourselves. But somewhere between morning breakfasts, late-night conversations, and all the moments when Claire forgot to be the ice queen, the agreement stopped feeling like an agreement. It became a life. Our life. The day our marriage contract officially ended arrived faster than I expected. I knew the date. Claire knew the date. Neither of us mentioned it. That was the strange part. Usually, Claire was the person who handled everything directly. Business deals. Difficult conversations. Impossible decisions. But that morning, she avoided the one conversation we both needed to have. I found her in the kitchen. She was making coffee, something she had become surprisingly good at. I leaned against the counter. Morning. She looked up. Morning. A pause. A long one. I looked at the calendar on my phone. Then at her. Do you know what day it is? Her hand stopped. Yes. I nodded. So. She looked away. So. That was the first time I had ever seen Claire Bennett not know what to say. The woman who could control a room full of executives couldn't handle one conversation with me. And somehow, that made me love her even more. After work, I went home earlier than usual. I had already made my decision. I wasn't leaving because I wanted to. I wasn't leaving because I stopped loving her. I was leaving because I thought Claire deserved a choice. A real choice. Not a choice she made because of a contract. Not because she needed me. Because she wanted me. I packed a small bag. Not everything. Just enough. When Claire came home, she immediately noticed. Of course she did. Her eyes went to the bag. Then to me. Miles. I turned. Claire, what are you doing? I took a breath. I think our agreement is over. Silence. The words hurt more when they were spoken. She walked closer. Is that what you want? I looked at her. No. The answer came too quickly. Her expression changed. Then why? Because I don't want to stay because of a promise we made a year ago. She stared at me. I want you to choose me. Her voice became quiet. I did choose you. Because you needed me. No. Because I was there when you were lonely. No. Because I was the first person who treated you normally. She stepped closer. Miles. I stopped. She looked directly into my eyes. You still don't understand. Understand what? You think I love you because you helped me. She shook her head. I love you because you are you. I couldn't speak. Claire continued. When I met you, I was surrounded by people who wanted something from me. Money. Power. Connections. But you, she smiled slightly. You complained about my coffee. I laughed quietly. That was terrible coffee. I know. And you still married me. Yes. Your judgment is questionable. For a second, she smiled. Then her eyes became serious. Miles. Yes. I don't want this marriage to end. My heart stopped. Because Claire Bennett didn't ask. She decided. She commanded. But this time, she was asking. She walked to the table. There was something there. A small box. I looked at it. Claire. She opened it. Inside was a ring. Not the ring from our first marriage. A new one. A real one. My breath caught. I spent my whole life building things. She looked at the ring. Companies. Technology. An empire. She looked at me. But I never built a home. A pause. Until you. I felt my eyes getting heavy. Claire Bennett was emotional. The woman who never showed weakness was standing in front of me, holding a ring with nervous hands. Miles Carter. She took a breath. I know this is probably the least traditional proposal ever. I smiled. Considering we already got married before knowing each other's full story. She almost laughed. Fair. Then she became serious again. So I'm doing it properly this time. She held out the ring. Will you marry me? I stared at her. The same woman who had everything. The same woman who could have chosen anyone. Was choosing me. Again. I stepped closer. Claire. Yes. You know I'm going to say yes, right? Her eyes softened. I want to hear you say it. I smiled. Then yes. I took her hand. Yes, I'll marry you. This time, there was no contract. No agreement. No expiration date. Just us. A few months later, Bennett Technologies held its annual company event. Everyone was there. Executives. Employees. Partners. The same people who once questioned why Claire Bennett chose me. That night, Claire stood beside me. Not in front. Beside. One employee joked. Mr. Carter, how does it feel being married to the most intimidating woman in business? I looked at Claire. She raised an eyebrow. Well, I smiled. It's terrifying. Everyone laughed. Claire looked offended. Really? I nodded. Yes. She crossed her arms. Explain. I smiled. Because the entire world thinks you're an ice queen. But I know the truth. What truth? I leaned closer. You're just my wife who steals my hoodies and pretends she doesn't like hugs. The room laughed. Claire's face turned slightly red. Actually red. Everyone froze. Because nobody had ever seen Claire Bennett embarrassed. She looked at me. You're enjoying this. A little. You're impossible. But you love me. A pause. Then she smiled. Yes. The entire room went quiet. Not because she said it. Because everyone realized something. The Ice Queen wasn't cold. She was just waiting for the right person. And somehow, I became that person. Looking back, I still can't believe how my life changed. One night, I married a stranger. The next morning, I discovered she was my boss. I thought I had made the biggest mistake of my life. I thought I was walking into a complicated arrangement. I thought I was just helping a lonely woman. I was wrong. Because Claire Bennett didn't need someone to save her. She needed someone who would stay. And she chose me. Not because I was rich. Not because I was powerful. Not because I could give her anything. She chose me because I was the one person who saw the woman behind the title. And in return, the woman everyone feared gave me something more valuable than anything money could buy. Her heart. My name is Miles Carter. And the best decision I ever made was saying yes to a stranger who became my wife.